Chapter 001. Binding the sect system, starting to compensate the emperor's cultivation level. The ancient continent. The deserted state of the eastern region. Piao sect. In front of the grave. A man in rags sat on the ground, extremely sad, and his voice was hysterical. Master, you have been gone for 10 years. Do you know how I came here in these 10 years? If I hadn't mistakenly believed your lies, I would not have agreed to practice with you. You deceived me so miserably. Ah! Chen Zan sat on the ground and screamed, wiping snot and tears on the grave. He did not have the image that a monk should have at all. 10 years ago, he was still a good young man who worked in a factory to drive screws, living at 3 o'clock in one line every day. Although he is an orphan without any relatives, he has sunshine in his heart and is always moving towards the light. According to his plan, he planned to work for 10 years to save some money, then open a breakfast shop in front of the factory, find a girlfriend, have 2 children, and live a good life. But who knew that one night, there was a sudden power outage in the factory. He was ordered to turn off the electric gate of the assembly line, but accidentally pulled off the thread of the electric gate. Then a white light flashed and the factory called again. And as soon as his head was dizzy, he appeared in a fantasy place called the ancient continent. Yes, it was the ancient continent, the world beneath his feet. When he first came to the ancient continent, he heard that this was a world of cultivating immortals. The higher the talent, the higher the achievements in cultivating immortals. But this is also a dangerous world, because you can cultivate immortals, and there are immortal cultivators, monsters and ferocious beasts everywhere. He once saw with his own eyes a powerful monster from the demon race who transformed into his true form, covering the sky and the sun, and was bigger than a mountain. He opened his mouth and ate a whole city of people. I once saw a strong human being cut the monster in half with one sword. I even witnessed thousands of monks flying together in the sky. Make him full of yearning for this world. Because according to normal rules, he must be the son of luck when he travels through time. The result in the future is nothing more than the big guys from all sides competing to recruit disciples, and then destroying everything. The queen and princess will love themselves with open eyes, and live a long and proud life from now on. Happy life. But the reality was completely opposite to what he expected. Because the ancient continent is so big, he, an ordinary person, can't go very far. Let alone leaving the Guangzhou, he can't even get out of a corner of the Guangzhou. Later, he refused to accept his fate in order to practice, so he had to borrow money from usury to buy the most basic immortal cultivation techniques. He didn't know whether he was deceived or something else, but after practicing for several months, there was no response. In the end, all the money he borrowed from the loan shark was spent, and he was hunted down by the loan shark. He had no choice but to escape from the place where he settled overnight and became a homeless man. Later, when he was wandering, he heard that a disciple recruitment conference was held somewhere. He thought that his opportunity had come again, so he went through all kinds of dangers and traveled across mountains and rivers to sign up. In the end, no sect was willing to accept him, which completely shattered his dream of being a protagonist. After leaving the disciple recruitment meeting, he became a homeless man completely. Later, when he was on the verge of death again, he finally met an old man with immortal wind and bone, who was his master. This man was lying peacefully in the grave in front of him. At that time, the old man fed him a pill, which immediately made him lively and energetic after being tired. He once thought that he had met a senior with a discerning eye. So under his expectation, the old man said that classic line with a kind face. Young man, I see that you have bright eyes and white teeth. You are as beautiful as jade, you are as tall as a jade tree, you are graceful, and you are gifted. You are truly a rare evil genius. Although your pearls are now covered in dust, as long as you have the guidance of a famous teacher, you will be of no use. How long will it take for the dust to disappear and light to shine through thousands of mountains and rivers? I am the 107th generation leader of the Piao sect. I wonder if you would like to worship me as your teacher. From now on, embark on the road of fame and fortune, and save the world's common people. Quote, after hearing the old man's question and looking at the old man's magnetic gaze, did Chenzan still need to think about it? You definitely don't have to think about it. He begged all the way, slept in the open, and almost died. Now he finally met a strong man with a discerning eye. He praised him so much that God wouldn't agree to it if he didn't agree. So without thinking about it, he knelt down and kowtowed to become his master. But he never imagined that the days after becoming a disciple would be the beginning of his nightmare. After becoming a disciple, he learned that the old man was seriously injured and had a short lifespan. He could not fly, so he could only take him back to the sect on foot. The old man became weaker and weaker along the way. Chenzan served him tea and water and waited on him all the way. Even more considerate than when I first served my girlfriend. In this way, the two of them walked for half a year before reaching Luengu Mountain Gate and under the sect. But at this moment, Master couldn't hold on and gave up. Before he died, he did not forget to pass on the title of leader of the Piao sect to him. Let him successfully become the 108th generation leader of the Piao sect. I just died as a master. God, this is the pinnacle of the sect that people asked me to join. Thinking like this, Chenzan was so excited that he carried his master's body and headed up the mountain. When he arrived at the sect, he was completely stunned. Where is the glorious sect in front of me? It's obviously a ruins. What the hell? He had tens of thousands of disciples at his peak, and there were countless strong men in the sect. They were all lies. At this moment, except for some houses that did not collapse, there was not even a ghost in the whole sect. So when he saw this scene, Chenzan cried on the spot. Advertisement. What a bullshit son of luck, what a sect leader. This trap of riding a horse to death will not pay for your life. How could an ordinary person like him get out of the Luengu Mountains? Have no choice. Chenzan could only settle down in Shanmen and began a secluded life. But what later made Chenzan even more desperate was that he practiced with the inheritance left by his master, but it still had no effect. Several times it made him think that he doubted whether the practice was fake. But even if it was fake, there was nothing he could do because ferocious beasts were rampant in the Luengu Mountains, and he, an ordinary person, couldn't get out at all. So, the days passed day by day. 10 years in the mountains are like one day. Very slowly it will be 10 years later. Early that morning, Chenzan woke up from practice, realized the existence of spiritual energy, and completely entered the first realm of practice, the Qi Lianqi state. For a moment, Chenzan was so excited that he cried again. When he came to the grave, he started to complain to his master. Master, you are so G good at lying. After 10 years of practicing Qi, my talent is probably worse than that of a dog. You actually said that I am gifted and asked me to save the world. No. Do you just don't want the Piao sect to cut off its inheritance? Are you lying to me like this? You feel at ease, my disciple, I am really desperate. Chenzan became more and more excited as he spoke. But at this time, his stomach growled again, and he forcibly stopped his complaints. Wiping the tears from the corners of his eyes, he stood up unsteadily, feeling that he would have a full meal first and then continue to complain. Anyway, there is no time in the mountains, so there is a lot of time waiting to be consumed. But just when he stood up, an ethereal voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! 15 years of recharging has ended. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding the strongest sect system in all worlds. Boom. When the voice sounded, Chenzan was shocked and stunned. System? Damn, there really is a system. Great. When did you come? System, please let me wait. For a moment, Chenzan was extremely excited. If the system never comes out, he has already planned to live in the mountains for the rest of his life. I didn't expect that there would really be a system coming. Sure enough, the novel did not deceive me. Under Chenzan's excitement, the system immediately gave an answer. Ding! This system was already in place before the host traveled through time. It was just that something unexpected happened during the time traveling, which made the host wait for a long time. I'm sorry. Were you here before time travel? For a moment, Chen Zan was stunned and even more dumbfounded. It turns out he was there 15 years ago. Grass. Showing up now. Thinking of these 15 years, Chen Zan couldn't help but stir up a wave of emotion in his heart, and said emotionally, 15 years, 15 years. Do you know how I lived these 15 years? Ding. I'm very sorry. This system will compensate the host. The system's voice was apologetic. Compensate. Chen Zan was stunned again, and immediately stopped feeling sad. He turned his eyes and asked, what kind of compensation? I can tell you, the compensation is too bad and I don't want it. Is it okay to compensate the host emperor for his cultivation? After a while, the system asked tentatively. As soon as these words came out, Chen Zan's eyes widened instantly. The cultivation level of the great emperor. Did the system say something wrong, or did you hear it wrong? This is the pinnacle state of the ancient continent. Chen Zan said in disbelief. What did you say? Is it okay to compensate the host emperor for his cultivation level, plus a supreme weapon, the emperor's sword? This is the greatest compensation that this system can make. The system thought that the other party was not satisfied with the compensation it gave, so it added another weapon. Hearing this, Chen Zan couldn't hold himself any longer. 15 years in exchange for a great emperor's cultivation level and a supreme weapon. Value. So worth it. So he nodded immediately and said like a chicken chasing a meter, okay, that's great. Hurry, get the compensation. Chapter 002. The supreme weapon Taihuang sword, slashing the stars with a wave of his hand. Great Emperor, the strongest cultivation base in the ancient continent. The saying that all people under the emperor are ants is the best proof of the emperor's strength. Although there are immortals above the emperor. But immortals have never appeared, and even the former emperors were struggling to find the existence of immortals. This shows that immortals may be just an ethereal realm and do not exist. Therefore, the great emperor is the strongest fighting force in the continent. A drop of blood can kill gods and demons, and a strand of hair can crush the eternal sky. As for the ultimate weapons, that is also a peerless treasure that is not weaker than the great emperor. It is an extremely powerful weapon, so it is called the ultimate weapon. It is the emperor's exclusive weapon. The materials required for refining Jita weapons are extremely rare. Many emperors cannot find all the materials for a Jita weapon in their lifetime, so not every emperor can possess a Jita weapon. Any great emperor who possesses extreme weapons is extremely tyrannical. It is said that the pinnacle emperor who possesses extremely powerful weapons can fight immortals. Even if the emperor doesn't come out, he can sweep through all realms under the emperor with just one ultimate weapon. One can imagine how powerful the emperor and the Yakuza weapons are. Now that he has received these two rewards, he can walk sideways in the ancient continent from now on. Even if you meet the old emperor, you are not afraid. The emperor's cultivation is being fused. Host, please pay attention to receive it. Following the system prompts, the emperor's cultivation began to be instilled into Chen Zan's body. Time. Chen Zan was shocked and began to accept the cultivation of the great emperor wholeheartedly. Boom boom boom. Cultivation is poured into the body. Chen Zan's aura changed, and his realm began to soar. In just an instant, he had passed through the 9th level of the Qi refining realm and reached the foundation establishment realm. The crazy breakthrough speed made Chen Zan unable to help but feel shocked. But these cultivation abilities injected into his body are just a drop of water in the vast ocean. One can imagine how terrifying he will be once he takes over this vast ocean. Boom. Establishing the foundation of the 9th heaven. Boom. The sea of spirits gathers. Linghai 9th heaven. Boom. Royal air realm. Ellipsis. Concentrated state. Ellipsis. Heavenly King Realm. Ellipsis. Emperor's Realm. Ellipsis. Quasi-Saint. Ellipsis. Saint. Ellipsis. Quasi-Emperor Realm. Boom. As Chen Zan's cultivation surpassed that of the Quasi-Emperor, explosions started to come from his body. That's flesh and blood evolving. Cells transform again. Boom 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 boom. There were continuous muffled sounds. All 66 trillion cells in Chen Zan's body undergo ultimate transformation. Then, all the 206 bones in the body broke their bonds and went beyond the rules. Even the rules of heaven and earth could not restrain them. For a moment, the surrounding void twisted, and countless rhymes lingered, penetrating into his flesh and blood. I do not know how long it has been. Chen Zan completely completed the most terrifying ultimate evolution. Advertisement. There is Taoism flowing in every inch of flesh and blood. Even if his lifespan comes to an end, his body will remain immortal for billions of years. If the breath is completely released, the surrounding void may not be able to bear it and will automatically split open. Feeling his own strength, Chen Zan slowly opened his eyes, his pupils filled with shock. I'll rub it. What an awesome body. A drop of essence and blood can suppress thousands of gods and demons, and a strand of hair can collapse the eternal sky. It's true. If I let go of the suppression, even my breath will be shattered. The entire Piao Miao sect. Fortunately, the system helped me suppress the breakthrough aura just now. Otherwise, the entire area would have been crushed. After sighing, Chen Zan continued. System. Receive the Taihuang sword. Ding. The Emperor's sword has been distributed, please check it carefully. Suddenly, the void in front of him shook, and a simple long sword slowly tore through the void and appeared in front of Chen Zan. The Taihuang sword looks ancient and pristine, with the 3 characters, Taihuang sword, engraved on the sword. Although it doesn't look amazing, Chen Zan knows that the sword contains huge power. Once it is fully revived, even a saint will not be able to withstand it. So Chen Zan raised his hand and grabbed the hilt of Taihuang's sword. Boom. Suddenly, the aura of Taihuang's sword completely revived and resonated with Chen Zan. At this moment, Chen Zan felt that he could sink a large state with just a wave of his hand. Thinking of this, Chen Zan's hands were itchy for a moment. Then he flashed, his figure disappeared, and he shot straight into the sky. In a blink of an eye, we were in the starry sky. Looking at the stars in the distance, Chen Zan raised his hand and waved his sword. Suddenly, a star in the distance exploded instantly, and Huawei was destroyed. At the same time, the ancient continent, the powerful people who were observing the astronomical phenomena were all startled. What's going on? One of the stars disappeared. It didn't disappear, it exploded. It seemed like it was hit by something. Hiss. Did something happen to the starry sky? The powerful people who were observing the astronomical phenomena were all frightened. And many of the ancestors of the Holy Land opened their eyes and looked at the stars. I feel the aura of the great emperor. There is also the aura of the imperial soldiers. Is there an emperor who has awakened? The great age is coming. Please pass on the order and increase the cultivation resources of all Holy Land disciples tenfold and open the secret realm of Holy Land. The great emperor is born. My 8th and 9th brothers, follow me to the starry sky to pay homage to the great emperor. Quote. Among the stars, Chen Zan looked at the exploding stars and smacked his lips secretly. The emperor's strength combined with the extreme weapons is really awesome. Just raise your hand and you can reach the stars and cut the moon. I have not spent all these years in vain. Ding. A 10-star genius has been detected. Please host to recruit a disciple. Suddenly, the system made a cold sound. Only then did Chen Zan notice that he didn't seem to understand the functions of the system yet. So he asked lightly, System, what functions do you have? Is there any reward for accepting a disciple? If there is no reward or the reward is too bad, I will not accept your mission. After all, I already have the cultivation level of the great emperor and the ultimate Tao. We have weapons, and there is no shortage of those 3 melons and 2 dates. System. Big brother, I gave you the emperor's cultivation level and the ultimate weapon, not just for you to mess around with. The system was about to cry, but explained with a grimace, it's not difficult, it's very simple. Then let's talk. Chen Zan nodded and slowly put away the emperor's sword. The emperor's sword seemed to be one with him, and obediently got into the spiritual sea, enjoying the nourishment of spiritual energy. Okay. This system is called the strongest sect system in all realms. As the name suggests, it requires the host to develop the sect into the strongest one in all worlds. Disciples are naturally indispensable for the development of sects, so the host needs to recruit disciples to fill the sect. In order to supervise the host's enthusiasm in recruiting disciples, the rewards for recruiting disciples are as follows. Recruit a potential disciple with 10 stars or above, and you will be rewarded with a large gift package for recruiting disciples. The gift package contains a guaranteed immortal summoning card, and other rewards are random. Recruit a 10-star potential disciple and be rewarded with a luxurious disciple recruitment gift package. The gift package contains 2 guaranteed Emperor summoning cards, 2 Saint summoning cards, and other rewards are random. Recruit a 9-star potential disciple, and you will be rewarded with a luxurious disciple recruitment gift package. The gift package guarantees 2 Saint summoning cards, and other rewards are random. Recruit a disciple with potential below 9 stars or above 6 stars, and you will be rewarded with an ordinary disciple recruitment gift package, which includes a Heavenly King summoning card. Note: all the powerful men summoned by the summoning cards are absolutely loyal to the host. And every 10 summoning cards of the same level can be synthesized into a higher level powerful man. In addition, the Emperor card and the Saint card can only be synthesized once, not twice. The King card is too low level and can be synthesized twice, but not 3 times. Realm levels: Chi refining, foundation building, spiritual C, air control, concentration, Heavenly King, Emperor, Saint, Emperor, Immortal. Chapter 003 The 10-star genius appears, Lin Fan with the ancient sword body. A 100% loyal strongman summoning card. It can also be synthesized. The rewards are not bad. But the requirements for accepting disciples are a bit high. Seeing the system prompts, Chen Zan was a little thoughtful. However, with his cultivation as a great emperor, it is not difficult as long as he is determined to recruit disciples. After all, the ancient continent is very big, so big that there are many 10-star talents. Thinking of this, Chen Zan nodded and said, "Okay. I will take over this task." "Okay, host." In order to make it easier for the host to distinguish the talents of disciples, the system will award an additional pair of exploration eyes, which can detect everyone's talents and hidden talents. A piece of sect infrastructure can be used to build infrastructure, and the infrastructure has its own super gathering spiritual formation. Please host, please hurry up and recruit disciples to avoid being intercepted. Good. Chen Zan nodded, disappeared instantly, and went straight to the location prompted by the system. This location is impartial and happens to be within the dojo area where my sect is located. Ellipsis. Ancient continent, Eastern Territory, desolate state. The end of the cliff. Several sect disciples are chasing a fellow disciple. Lin Fan, you can't run away, so you'd better just surrender and be captured. Our brothers and sisters can give you a good time. No, I can't give him pleasure. I want to torture him severely. He actually killed my biological brother. I must torture him. Stop making trouble. Kill him quickly and go back to claim the prize. Senior brother Wang has promised that as long as he brings back Lin Fan's head, we can all enter the second floor of the Divine Power Pavilion and choose magical powers. Several disciples wearing the attire of the Divine Sword sect slowly approached the cliff. Lin Fan, who was standing on the edge of the cliff, was covered in wounds at the moment. Looking at the faces of his fellow disciples, he couldn't help but look up to the sky and laugh wildly. Ha ha ha, a bunch of lackeys. Wang Cheng bullied his fellow sect and took away my resources. I was only protecting my own rights and hurting him. The sect did not seek justice for me, but even removed me and issued a fatwa against me. Who is right and who is wrong? If I don't die today, I will kill Wang Cheng and you, the lackeys. Lin Fan looked up to the sky and roared. Vent your inner sorrow. He was originally an inner disciple of the Divine Sword sect, the overlord power in the barren state. When I first entered the Divine Sword sect and became an outer disciple. He is passionate and wants to serve the sect. Although his talent is not very high, he still relies on his innate understanding of swordsmanship to enter the inner sect and become a senior brother that everyone respects. I thought that I would be loyal to the Divine Sword sect for the rest of my life. Unexpectedly, Wang Cheng, an internal disciple, relied on his father as an elder to run rampant in the inner sect and bully his fellow disciples. Countless female disciples were poisoned. But in order to practice and repay the sect's training for him, he endured it. Who would have thought that Wang Chang was getting more and more aggressive and even wanted to get rid of him when he was out training? But he just resisted normally and accidentally injured Wang Chang. The sect removed him indiscriminately and launched a fatwa against him. This kind of sect really makes him sad. I just feel like my loyalty is feeding the dog. Ha ha ha. Junior brother Wang is going too far, but who calls him the biological son of the elder of Shintong Pavilion? Maybe if you offend others, there won't be so many troubles, but you shouldn't offend junior brother Wang. It's a pity that you will definitely die today. Several fellow disciples were getting closer and closer with disdain on their faces. Lin Fan looked at everyone and knew that he might definitely die. After all, the Divine Sword sect is one of the 2 overlord-level forces in Guangzhou, and it is also the only overlord-level sect. If a small person offends the elders of the Divine Sword sect, he will basically not escape the fate of death. But even if he dies, he still has to control it himself. Lin Fan immediately looked up to the sky and roared, "Ah! I control my own life. Say it. Turn around and jump off the cliff." But just at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. "Wait a minute, don't jump yet." Lin Fan was stunned for a moment, stopped abruptly from running, and looked at the person coming with confusion. Elder of the Divine Sword sect. Not like that. The Divine Sword sect does not have such a young elder. Are you here to save him? It shouldn't be the case. The Divine Sword sect is the only overlord-level sect in the entire Guangzhou. Who else dares to offend the Divine Sword sect? Thinking like this, the man spoke again, and with a smile on his face. Advertisement. Young man, I think you have bright eyes and white teeth. You are as beautiful as a crown jade. You are as tall as a jade tree. You are graceful, and you are gifted. You are truly a rare evil genius. Although your pearls are covered in dust now, as long as you have the guidance of a famous teacher, you will be of no use. How long will it take for the dust to disappear and light to shine through thousands of mountains and rivers? I am the 108th generation leader of the Piaomiao sect. I wonder if you would like to worship me as your teacher. From now on, embark on the road of fame and fortune, and save the world's common people. Quote. Ga. As soon as these words came out, not only Lin Fan was confused, but everyone around him was also confused. Take on a disciple. Please, can't you see the current situation clearly? And the ones he accepted were the disciples who were being hunted by the Divine Sword sect. Doesn't this mean that the Divine Sword sect is not taken seriously? And what kind of ghost sect is Piaomiao sect? Never heard of it at all. Seeing this, a disciple immediately shouted coldly, "You are so bold, you are a mere unworthy sect, and you dare to take in the traitors of the Divine Sword sect in front of our Divine Sword sect. Do you want to go against our Divine Sword sect?" Noisy. Chen Zan didn't even look back. He raised his hand and slapped him. Boom. The disciple turned into a bloody mist on the spot. Hiss. For a moment, everyone gasped. Especially Lin Fan's eyes widened. Kill a 5th-level spiritual sea monk in one move. Who is this man? How dare you offend the Divine Sword sect? Could it be that the Hermit sect is a hermit sect that often stays away from the world, so it doesn't know the reputation of the Divine Sword sect? Thinking of this, Lin Fan quickly reminded him kindly, "Senior, you killed someone from the Divine Sword sect. The Divine Sword sect is the overlord of the Guangzhou, and they will not let you go. You'd better leave quickly to avoid getting into trouble. Yes, you actually dare to kill people from our Divine Sword sect. You are finished, you are dead. Even if you are a strong fighter in the air, you cannot escape the pursuit of our Divine Sword sect. Boy, I advise you to surrender immediately and follow us back to Shenjian sect to accept your punishment. Otherwise, if the elders take action, no matter who you are, you will definitely die." The disciples of the Divine Sword sect are also threatening with confidence. After all, there are a lot of Yukong realms in their sect. In addition, the reputation of the Divine Sword sect is so great that it makes other people's legs weak when they hear it. So even though I know that the person in front of me is very strong, I am not afraid at all. Ha ha. Destroy this mere divine sword sect with one hand. Chen Zan looked at Lin Fan nonchalantly and said, just tell me whether you want to become a disciple or not. If you want to become a disciple, I will kill a few of them to vent your anger. If you don't want to become a disciple, I will leave. Got it. Huh. Take it out on me. Lin Fan was startled and asked doubtfully, Senior, have you heard about my story with the Divine Sword Sect? No, I haven't heard your story, but it's written all over your face. Chen Zan smiled slightly, and Lin Fan's message appeared in front of him. Name: Lin Fan. Realm: 4th level of spiritual C. Physique: the unactivated ancient sword body is one of the most domineering physiques in the ancient times. It has a natural affinity for the sword. After activation, it can make the sword surrender. When it is completed, it can surpass the sword and become an emperor with the sword. Potential: 10 stars. Experience: a disciple of the inner sect of the Divine Sword Sect, who went through all kinds of hardships to become a disciple of the Divine Sword Sect, and relied on his natural affinity for the sword to enter the inner sect. He worked diligently in the inner sect, but was bullied and assassinated by the elder's son. After resisting, he was expelled from the sect and hunted down. Detailed information appears. Chen Zan is right. The other person's face is really filled with stories. So he didn't show any mercy to the person who killed the Divine Sword Sect just now. Those who kill must be prepared to be killed. I am willing to become a disciple. Lin Fan hesitated for a moment and then agreed directly. At first, he was just afraid of complicating the Piao sect, but now that the other party said that he knew his story and said that the Divine Sword Sect could destroy him with one hand, he must have an extraordinary origin, and he was naturally willing to become his disciple. After all, without the protection of the sect, he would be killed by the Divine Sword Sect sooner or later. It's a great favor to have someone take you in. Okay, I'll let you speak out for me first. Chen Zan nodded with satisfaction, then turned to look at the disciples of the Divine Sword Sect. For a moment, all the disciples of the Divine Sword Sect trembled. You dare. Chapter 004 The first reward for recruiting a disciple, activating the ancient sword body. You dare. You won't end well if you kill us. Junior brothers, come together. The disciples of the Divine Sword Sect were frightened, and then they all launched an attack on Chen Zan. But don't wait for the magic power to be used. Chen Zan snapped his fingers. Snapped. A crisp sound passes through your fingertips. For a moment, all the disciples of the Divine Sword Sect were shocked, and then boom, 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 boom. All the disciples of the Divine Sword Sect exploded, turned into a bloody mist, scattered between the heaven and the earth, and disappeared. Hiss. Lin Fan's pupils suddenly shrank again. Oh my god. With a snap of his fingers, he killed several spiritual sea monks. Monks in the sky control realm can't do it, at least only elders in the concentrating spirit realm can do it. As expected, I did not learn from the wrong teacher. For a moment, Lin Fan looked at Chen Zan with eyes completely filled with awe. Disciple, why don't you kneel down and kowtow to your master? A faint voice sounded, awakening Lin Fan, who was in shock. Lin Fan's whole body was agitated, and he knelt on the ground with a plop, and said excitedly, Disciple Lin Fan, pay your respects to the master. Bang bang bang. The 3 ringing heads are sonorous and powerful. Immediately afterwards, Chen Zan also received a systematic reminder in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for recruiting a 10-star potential disciple. The luxurious disciple recruitment gift package has arrived. Good disciple, get up quickly. Master will take you back to the sect. Hearing the rewards from the system, Chen Zan had no time to respond. He immediately beamed with joy, raised his hands to lift Lin Fan, and took him into the air. Ellipsis. Piao sect. On the main peak. Looking at the declining hills and dilapidated houses around him, Lin Fan looked confused and said, Master, Master. Is this the Piao sect? Why is it so desolate? Oops, I forgot to renovate the sect. Chen Zan was stunned and quickly made an excuse. Haha. These are all illusions. Master, I will dispel the illusion and show the true sect. After saying that, he secretly said in his heart, System, quick, use the sect construction card. Ding. The sect construction card has been used successfully, and the sect's facilities are being manifested. The system voice sounded. The sect construction card also disappeared. Chen Zan immediately raised his hand and waved in a pretentious manner. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the ground shook. Countless mountain peaks rise from the ground, becoming tall and majestic. On top of the mountain, various pavilions and halls are manifested. In the blink of an eye, a brand new sect revealed its true identity. At the same time, with the emergence of sect facilities, the construction of the super spirit gathering array within the card also began. Countless spiritual energy gathered overwhelmingly, and the surrounding spiritual energy instantly increased 1,000 times. Feeling the spiritual energy of heaven and earth getting stronger and stronger, Lin Fan's physical body also began to absorb the spiritual energy unconsciously. Even the injuries are faintly healing. Hiss. Is this the true face of the Piaomiao sect? It is indeed the Hermit sect, and its spiritual energy is countless times higher than that of the Divine Sword sect. If you practice here for one day, it will definitely be comparable to the outside world for several months. Lin Fan was shocked. Following Chen Zan, his awe for the sect skyrocketed. Ahead, Chen Zan led the way and silently opened the luxurious apprenticeship gift package. System, open the luxurious apprenticeship gift package. Ding. The luxury apprenticeship gift package has been opened successfully. Congratulations to the host for getting the Emperor Summoning Card X2. Guaranteed reward. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Saint Summoning Card X2. Guaranteed reward. Note: all summoned strong men are unconditionally loyal to the host. Accumulating 10 cards of the same level can summon a higher level strong man. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the sect facility, 9 Immortal Veins. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Dacheng Taiku Sword Body. The Taiku Sword Body. Every cell contains the supreme sword intention. It has the best control over the sword and can make thousands of swords surrender. Congratulations to the host for receiving the Immortal Sutra, the Ancient Chaos Heaven Ju. The Ancient Chaotic Heaven Ju, a swordsmanship technique. It was left behind by the sword immortals in the ancient times. It can reverse the chaos of yin and yang, the universe, and use the sword to cross the long river of history and check the past, present and future, so it is chaotic heaven. When the reward arrived, Chen Zan, who was walking at the front, was shocked. The understanding of the sword's intention reached its peak instantly. Ellipsis. Advertisement. The main hall of the main peak sect master. The figures of the master and apprentice slowly appeared. Looking at the domineering bronze hall, Lin Fan's steps became slower and slower. Disciple, why are you walking so slowly? Come quickly. Chen Zan noticed something was wrong and turned around to urge him. Lin Fan trembled all over and said cautiously, Master, why don't you see a senior brother or elder along the way? At this moment, he even felt that he might have come to some extremely dangerous place. Although there is enough spiritual energy around, it feels like a fairyland. But in this huge sect, there are always only the two of them walking around, and the surroundings are silent, which inevitably makes people feel a little weird. Our sect has not accepted any disciples since we became a hermit. Those former disciples have now been promoted to elders. The elders of our sect are either unable to come out of seclusion, or they are traveling around. They are out of seclusion as a teacher, who recruited many disciples and reborn the Piaomiao sect. Chen Zan explained without blushing. No loopholes. You don't even need to use the summoning card you just got. Moreover, those cards can be synthesized into higher level powerful ones, so he still wants to keep them for synthesis. So that's it. Doesn't that mean I'm the top disciple of this generation? When Lin Fan heard the explanation, he not only breathed a sigh of relief, but also felt happy. Then he quickly followed Master's footsteps. Just now he thought he had been deceived into some horrible place, but he didn't expect that the sect was a hermit. No wonder the spiritual energy is so strong. And he is really lucky. Not only did he join the hermit sect, he also became a senior brother. Hey, the senior brother of a sect. Just thinking about it makes me excited. For a moment, Lin Fan was so happy. Seeing this, Chen Zan smiled slightly and continued to lead the way. He quickly took him into the sect master's hall, the main hall of the clan. As the name suggests, it is the main hall where the sect leader lives. Come to the main hall. Chen Zan waved to him and said, Disciple, come here, I will help you activate the ancient sword body. Ancient sword body. Do I have a special physique? Lin Fan was startled and hurried forward. At the same time, he couldn't help but ask, Master, do you mean that my disciple has a special ancient sword body? He knew that the ancient sword body was the most domineering sword physique in the ancient times, and he had a natural affinity for the sword. Yes, you have an ancient sword body. Chen Zan nodded. After receiving the master's affirmation, Lin Fan was slightly stunned. No wonder I have a natural affinity for swords, and I am quite comfortable practicing swordsmanship and other magical powers. It turns out that I have the most domineering physique in the ancient times, the ancient sword body. But I heard that if you want to fully activate the ancient sword body, you must use the ancient sword intent as a guide. But now the world has changed drastically. Not to mention the ancient sword intent, even the ancient sword intent can't be found. Thinking of this, Lin Fan felt disappointed again, and said helplessly, Master, I heard that the ancient sword body needs the ancient sword intention to activate. Otherwise, you will always only have an affinity for the way of swordsmanship, and you will not be able to understand the true way of swordsmanship. Ha ha. This mere ancient sword spirit is at your fingertips. Chen Zan smiled faintly, then raised his hand to condense a sword intent and injected it into Lin Fan's body. Immediately, Lin Fan was shaken, and his whole body was being activated and awakened by the introduction of the ancient sword intention. The awakening of every inch of skin made him understand the way of the sword more deeply. This made him admire his master even more. But before he had time to think too much, he continued to gain insights into the way of the sword. I do not know how long it has been. Boom! An explosion suddenly resounded within Lin Fan's body. Immediately afterwards, his body made the sound of thousands of swords ringing in unison. This means that the ancient sword body has been completely activated. Brush. Lin Fan opened his eyes and his understanding of kendo reached a whole new level. It also activates the physical magical power of the ancient sword body, the way of the sword. For a moment, his hair froze automatically. He raised his arm, and said to himself to Nan Nan in the void, Here comes the sword. Boom. The sound instantly spread out of the hall and spread around. Clang. Quote. Wherever the sound passed, whether it was in the mountains or in the soil, there was the trembling sound of the sword. Then, countless broken swords and rusty swords arched out of the soil, emerged from the pool, and flew towards the Piao Miao sect. Swish, brush, brush. Hundreds of long swords flew into the sect master's hall, surrounding master and disciple Chen Zan and Lin Fan, making surrender gestures. It is the magical power that comes with the ancient sword body, or the natural suppression of the sword. It's just that these swords are not only incomplete, but also low-level weapons. It's useless to keep them. Chen Zan immediately said one word lightly, Get out. Clang. Hundreds of swords were shaken, turned around one after another, flew out of the hall, and returned to their original place. Chapter 005. Teaching the Immortal Sutra, Looking Back Across Space. Hiss. Master is also an ancient sword body. Seeing this scene, Lin Fan took a breath. No wonder the master has the ancient sword intention. It turns out that master also has this kind of physique. Suddenly, Lin Fan's admiration for Chen Zan's sword to an indescribable level. Master saved his life and activated his physique, which was equivalent to giving him a second rebirth. I will never be able to repay this kindness in my lifetime. Lin Fan immediately knelt on the ground and said with sincere gratitude, Disciple, thank you master. Disciple, there is no need to be polite. You are the current senior brother of our sect. I hope you can cultivate well in the future and promote the prestige of our sect. By the way, my master also has an Immortal Sutra here, which is just suitable for practicing swordsmanship, so I will pass it on to you. As he said that, Lin Fan had an extra scripture in his hand. He picked up the scripture and looked at it, and there were two big characters, Immortal Scripture, written on it. The ancient heaven chaos technique. Cultivate it to the extreme and you can reverse the chaos of yin and yang, the universe, wield a sword across the long river of time, and prove the emperor with the sword. Boom. Lin Fan was shocked and began to wonder if he had been killed by someone from the Divine Sword sect. Everything I encounter now is just my fantasy before I die. Oh my gosh. Immortal Scripture. How can it be? This is an existence that doesn't even exist in a holy land. Master actually took it out to him casually. And he has just started. This is too much trust in him. Lin Fan was so excited that he couldn't describe it. He secretly squeezed his thigh, and the severe pain immediately made him grin. Hiss. He took a deep breath and finally confirmed that all of this was true. He quickly cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Master." "Well, let's practice," Chen Zan said with a slight smile. "Getting started is the hardest. I just happen to be free now, so I can give you some pointers." Yes. Hearing that his master wanted to personally guide him in his cultivation, Lin Fan quickly opened the scriptures and read through them. Soon, he finished reading the training content. There were just a few things I didn't understand, so I raised my head and prepared to ask the master. But just at the moment when he raised his head, he suddenly saw the master looking to the side, frowned, and said two words lightly, presumptuous. "Master, Master, what's wrong with you?" Lin Fan was stunned and quickly asked with concern. "It's nothing. I just taught a lesson to a person who doesn't know how to be generous." Chen Zan slowly withdrew his gaze and said something that made Lin Fan confused. "Aren't they in the sect master's hall? There is no one else here. How to teach a lesson?" Lin Fan was puzzled, but he didn't think too much and started asking what he didn't understand, waiting for the master's answer. Ellipsis. Time goes back half an hour. Divine Sword Sect. Sect Master's Hall. Several elders stood below and were discussing, but the sect leader in the main seat had no expression on his face. "Have you checked clearly?" Yu Shan, the leader of the Divine Sword Sect, looked at the elder below calmly. One of the criminal law elders who was responsible for investigating the disappearance of the disciples quickly reported to Yu Shan Baoquanwei, "Sect Master, all the soul cards of the 6 inner disciples of the sect were shattered. After investigation, no traces were left at the death scene. Isn't there any clue at all? As for the aura, there is no aura at all." Yu Shan, the leader of the Divine Sword Sect, frowned and was quite dissatisfied. This morning, he received news of a traitor in the sect and issued a pursuit order. However, the fatwa is all participated by disciples. There are no elders, so it can be regarded as an experience for the disciples. But I didn't expect that not long ago, the soul cards of 6 of the disciples were all shattered, and they were all inner disciples. The death of 6 inner disciples at the same time was not a small matter, so he immediately asked the elders of the criminal law hall to investigate the matter. As a result, half a day passed, but I only received news with no clues. It's actually a bit unbelievable. Advertisement. No breath left at all. It's like disappearing into thin air on the edge of the cliff. The criminal law elder shook his head. Elder Xing, could it be that Lin Fan found a helper? His helper killed our disciple and then rescued Lin Fan. After all, Lin Fan's body has never been found. At this moment, Wang Ben, the elder of Gongfa Pavilion, couldn't help but ask questions. This person is Wang Cheng's father, the elder of the Gongfa Pavilion. He is not worried about how many of his disciples will die, he is only worried about when the murderer Lin Fan will be caught. After all, he had a son at an old age, and his son almost lost his male function after being beaten by Lin Fan. If he didn't catch Lin Fan and take revenge, he wouldn't be able to explain to his son, and he wouldn't be able to vent his anger. Probably not. Lin Fan has a clean background and has no relatives in the world. No one will help him. And he can kill 6 of our core disciples at the same time without leaving any traces. It should not be possible for a monk in the sky control realm. It's a monk in the condensation realm. Lin Fan, an ordinary inner disciple, will never have a strong man in the condensation realm to help him. I think it's people from other forces who are targeting us. The criminal elder analyzed it carefully, then clasped his fists at Sean and said, Sect Master, after all, there are many geniuses in our sect, and we are about to start a new round of disciple recruitment conference. It will inevitably make some other super forces hate. I request the sect master to use the magic weapon, Void Mirror, come and find out the cause of the matter. If there are other forces that really want to target us and shake the status of our overlord sect, we should take precautions in advance. The Void Mirror is just an incomplete divine weapon. Its lifespan is reduced once it is used. Are you sure that our divine sword sect is being targeted? Yu Shan was a little reluctant to leave. Weapons are divided into spiritual weapons, divine weapons, and imperial weapons. And magic weapons are rare things. Even their overlord-level sect only has one incomplete divine weapon. It was this magic weapon that allowed them to gain a foothold in the wilderness and become a dominant force. It's just that the lifespan of the Void Mirror will be reduced once it is used, and eventually it will be completely broken. Spending the life of the magic weapon to find the cause of the disciple's death, to be honest, it is indeed overkill. Sect Master. It would be okay if a disciple is accidentally killed, but if there are other super forces secretly targeting us, we should know earlier and take precautions earlier. As the old saying goes, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the worst. Wangzhou wants to replace our god. There are many sects in the sword sect. Seeing that Yu Shan was a little reluctant to leave, Elder Xing continued to analyze the pros and cons. Other elders also agreed. Yes, I support Elder Xing's proposal. I support it too. I agree. Only the magic weapon can find out the reason. All the elders seconded their opinions one by one. Yu Shan also knew the seriousness of the matter and agreed immediately. Okay then. If that's the case, let's use the magic weapon. After that, he waved his hand and summoned a cracked mirror. The mirror hangs in the air facing a pair of broken soul cards. Yu Shan raised his hand and poured spiritual energy into the void mirror. For a moment, the sky in the void mirror was spinning, and they began to search for the last trace of breath left on the soul card. After a while, the scene in the mirror was frozen on the top of the cliff. Seeing that it was indeed the scene they suspected, Sect Master Yu Shan immediately increased the transmission of spiritual energy and continued to search. For a moment, the world inside the void mirror was once again in chaos. But this time, before the scene could freeze, a pair of deep eyes suddenly appeared in the void mirror. It was as if those eyes could see them through the void mirror. Suddenly, everyone in the hall was shocked. The sect leader Yu Shan was so frightened that he immediately stopped the spiritual energy delivery. But at this moment, the voice of those eyes suddenly came from the void mirror. Presumptuous. Boom. Boom. The sound instantly penetrated the void mirror and knocked away the leader of the divine sword sect. Puff. Yu Shan backed up repeatedly and spurted out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Then, the scene in the void mirror disappeared, and the magic weapon turned into ashes on the spot. So strong. So strong. Yu Shan didn't have time to feel sorry for the void mirror. His eyes widened, his pupils full of fear. Sect Master, are you okay? Quick, get the healing pill. The other elders were shocked and all came over at once. You must know that their sect master is a strong person in the middle stage of concentration, and his strength is extraordinary. It's unbelievable that he would be harmed by the void mirror. Yu Shan was helped by everyone, and he quickly took the healing pill before he recovered. He looked at the place where the void mirror was ashes with lingering fear. After realizing that those eyes had disappeared, I was completely relieved.